next we have Suesi Tran. Suesi is a GDE in Dart and Flutter. She's an experienced mobile engineer with a demonstrated history of working in telecommunication industry. Skills range from MFC, embedded software, Bash, and OpenGL to more recent technologies like Android, Kotlin, Flutter, GitHub Action. And she had strong engineering professional background with a Bachelor of Science focused in software engineering with Coventry University. Please welcome Suesi.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are well awake now. If not, there's coffee outside. Let's go for coffee. Do you need? Okay. So I will bring you today. I bring you some update for what's new in Dart and Flutter. So let's just get into them. Okay. Firstly, let me introduce myself. Who is Suesi Tran? So currently, I'm a senior Flutter developer at Tabcorp, but beside my full-time job, I'm also a GDE in Dart and Flutter. It's awesome thing, so you should join as well. I'm also a Women Tech Maker Melbourne Ambassador and GDG Melbourne Organizers. Outside of work and other volunteer, I'm also a mentor at Mentor Me program. That is an on-job training program from Vietnamese to Vietnamese. First, let's start with this rumor. Have anyone heard of it? Bye. Okay, let me clarify this. This is a rumor and this is the truth, okay? So the truth is that the headcount does not change, even though that there was some change in the team, but the headcount does not change, and the fact that there's a new release on Flutter 3.22 at Google I/O proves that Google still support Flutter. Another truth, I'm GDE in Flutter and Dart, and I came here on Flutter on Google budget. Okay, there are some other updates as well. Let's say some of them like support for multi-platform. There are improvement in Impeller. There are support for generative AI in Flutter. And the roadmap for 2024 still confirmed and still going on. This QR code over here is the roadmap for 2024. If you want to know what is coming next, check it out. Okay, I give you time to scan the QR code. Okay, let's go. So I can recap the full Google I/O keynote in 1 minute. And do you know that during Google I/O keynote, the word AI is mentioned 121 times, but there's another word that is mentioned even more than that, which is
Gemini. Who's Gemini.
Okay, that's enough. So you get the idea. Okay, so of course, because Gemini has been mentioned more than 121 times, so the first update for the Flutter news is generative AI in Flutter. Right now, generative AI in Flutter is already upgraded to version 0.4.3. Right? But during Google I/O that day, exactly on that day, the version update is 0.4.2. And I've been using this package since the early version 0.2.2. And from 0.2.2 to 0.4.2, there are some amazing updates. Some that I can show you is that the batch embedded content is added. I haven't tried it, but it's just awesome because of the word batch. And then they support for tune model as well. So in 0.2.2, I cannot use my own train model in Flutter. But right now, with the new version, the upgraded version, I can do that, but I haven't tried it yet. Shame on me. Okay, the next part that I already tried is the file part, data part, function call, function response. So I tell you how amazing it is later by showing you the comparison between the 0.2.2 and 0.4.2. Yeah, and it's also support my type of application JSON. So if you check if you check AI Studio now, you will see that there's a small setting that to request to response in JSON. So with that, that's corresponding to the my tab application JSON in the generate config response tab. Now, I show you the example. This is the example before the update. So with generative AI in Flutter, I use version 2.0. 0.2.0. I thought it was 0.2.2. And I use Gemini Pro 1.0, which is very limited in the token, and no fine-tune. So this is what Gemini gave originally. And there was no way for me at that time to send the voice directly to Gemini, so I used the speech to text. The limitation is that it can recognize one language at a time, and I cannot switch the language. So here's how it goes.
Okay, right now there's no transaction. Create new transaction. I spent $50 for lunch with friends. Yay, new transaction is added.
So this one, I use speech to text, and then I request Gemini to respond me with a JSON. As a developer, I know there are so many ways that I have to hack around this, because I have to check whether the JSON is a valid JSON or not, and then I have to check whether they respond me with a JSON or not in the text. So with that, when I move to version 0.2.3, 0.4.3, I'm not sure if I give the slide wrong or my memory is wrong. Anyway, so when I upgraded the version, and I changed to use Gemini 1.5 Pro. At the time I wrote this, Gemini 1.5 Pro provided only 1 million token. But right now, as of this morning, Gemini Pro 1.5 Pro already provide 2 million tokens. So it means that you can send 2 hours videos to Gemini directly. Okay, and I still use no fine-tune model because I'm lazy to train my own model. But the voice data processing is already in, meaning that in this version, I send my voice directly to Gemini, and Gemini process my voice directly. And because of that, I'm able to add multilingual ability because Gemini can understand my language, at least 2 languages. I know only 2 languages. And I also use function call and function response. So previously, I have to check the JSON response, and then I have to pass the JSON, get the data out, and call the function by myself. This time, I put in the function declaration, and Gemini will extract all the information from the voice and get and do the work for me. So after setting up, I don't have to do anything. And this is the result.
Okay, there's no transaction here. Now let's talk to Gemini. Today I have dinner, $75 at a Vietnamese restaurant.
That is one language.
Yay, $75 for dine out. Transaction is added. Okay, now I will try in Vietnamese. Lát nữa đi ăn tối nha. Tối nay ăn tối hết $30.
You see?
Yes.
How many language I know is how many language that Gemini can do. So it's really up to you to test the limit, because my limit is only 2 languages. So here is how I explain to you how I did it. Okay, so the first one, I use a voice recording. Use voice recording, you can use it at your choice. You can choose any package you want. For me, I use the recorder. And then I pass the data part. You can send the data part or the file part to the media. Over here, I use the data part because I receive the voice in streaming. So I use I use the data and send directly, so I don't save anything on the device. In order to use the function call and function response, I will need to declare some function declaration. And I have to say that the declaration tab is, the function declaration is a prompt itself. And when you write the schema for the function, the description of the schema is another prompt. So it means that you will have 3 prompts. One is the main prompt to tell Gemini what to do and what to expect. One is the prompt for the function declaration. Explain what this function is to do and what is expecting output from the function, what is expecting input as well. And another one is the prompt for the input of that function. So let's say if your function has an object of 10 input, good luck to you to write on the prompt. Okay, so when you send the prompt to Gemini, and then Gemini will detect that there are work that and other information that it needs, it will return with a list of function call. And then you will have to process that function call. And the function call will give you the name and the argument. Those names are matching with the function declaration. It does not need to be the name of your function, but it needs to be the name that you recognize your function by. So each function needs a unique name, otherwise you will be confused which name it's talking about. And then after you receive on the function call, you select the name and you invoke the function that it needs based on the argument that is given back by Gemini, and then generate the function response for each of the results. Over here, once again, use the exact name in the function call for the function response. Each function call corresponding to the function response. One of the note is that the function response will take the output as the map. But if you put the key of the map as response, it will say exactly what you give it. So it's quite weird. So in the map, use the key as result other than response. Okay. Okay, here is the code for the data part. So for the data part, there are 2 ways that you can send the data to Gemini. One is that you send it as part of the content. So you can create a content with the attribute model. I forgot the term, but the first part is the users, because this is the user who's sending the content out. And the second part is the list of parts. So you can either use the data part in this list of parts together with some other part, or there's another way easier is to use the content.data. So your data part itself is a content. Which both way you will need to identify the MIME type for it. And instead of identify the exact MIME type, you can also use the generic MIME type. So over here in the example, I use the audio/all. So this is just a generic audio. Now it comes to the function declaration, and this is hard. This takes a lot of time, which make me think of a way how can I make it easier just by defining this function is used for Gemini function declaration. So in the function declaration, you have to declare all the function that needed for the list of tasks that you want Gemini to perform. So as I mentioned before, you will need to create a lot of prompt in the function declaration. So the generic prompt that you give is the generic instruction. In this one, in the function declaration, you give the function name, and then you give the description. That description will have to describe exactly what this function is about. And if there's any condition to trigger this function or another function, you have to explain it over here as well. And then the schema. The schema, if your function take only one input, you can either use the one primitive input. Then you can either use schema.string, schema.integer, schema.number, etc. You can use that. Otherwise, for me, I prefer to use schema.object even though there's only one input. The reason is because I know exactly what key is given in the argument map later during the function call. So it will be easier to get the value out. So with the list of param that is given, I usually use the schema.object, right? And it will be so much easier. And with this, the property, each of the schema will have a description. And that description itself is a prompt. And one example that I tried, so the same prompt given to Gemini 1.0 will act differently on Gemini 1.5. So whenever you try your prompt on Google AI Studio, you have to use the same exact version in your code. Otherwise, Gemini will react differently. Now, after you send your prompt to Gemini, Gemini will respond with some function call, and it will request you to give the response to those function call. There will be a list of function call. Even though if there's only one function call, it will still be in the list. So you will have to work through one function call by a time and check out function name and check it, compare it to the declaration name and get the function out, invoke the function, get the argument from, get the param from the argument, call the argument, and get all the param out, give it to the function, and then generate the function response. Over here, again, function response will take the name for the function, and this name need to be the exact name from the function call. So the best way to do it is to copy the function call.name and give it back. Easier rather than you copy and pass your function name yourself. And also in the map, remember to return with result. Over here, I return with the response. And the reason is because the response over here can be used in the next generate content. But if this is the last call, if this is the last call and you want it to just generate the result, then you should use the key result rather than response. And finally, you send the list of function response to Gemini. So because there are multiple function call response, I respond with multiple function response. Otherwise, there's also a method for you to respond with one function call, and to be honest, I don't see the point of that. Now, here are the few tips for you when you create the prompt to Gemini. Number one is that treat Gemini as an intern. So when you give a prompt, you give exactly how you would give the prompt to an intern. And just imagine Gemini is the very stubborn intern who keep trying to do it wrong. So try to run it multiple times and try to correct your prompt after each time. And if you can create out like list by step, that will be the best way to do. At what step, invoke what function, at what step, do what. Do that exactly with that and give example. For example, this output, do this output, do that. Expecting input, give this output. Something like that, then Gemini will give the output that you're expecting. Also, Gemini is very stubborn. So if you have a mistake in your prompt, Gemini will ignore that. So it take it on the word value and as if it's your word is God word, and it will do exactly what it wants, not what you want. Okay, so you have to be very patient. Verify your prompt multiple times before you put it in GitHub or any source control at all. And for each schema object, be very careful with that, because each schema description is a prompt itself. So you have to explain it clearly, what it wants, what the value it is. And also, sometimes if there's condition to choose the value, give it there as well. And last tip, coffee really helps. The second update from Google I/O is the macro. So macro right now is already in experiment, and you can go to this link over here to check out the new feature, this new feature. So when I was doing the function declaration, I thought of this feature too, because this feature is introduced to be the new way to build runner. It means that it will help you to generate code. But the good way is that it is even faster and better than build runner. Because build runner, every time you want to generate new code, you have to run the command. But this macro, you don't have to run the command. You write the code for the macros, you edit your original code, the generated code will be updated on the fly. Very, very fast. So I noted to self, use macro to generate function declaration. And that is in my to-do list. For you to try out macro, you have to switch to the master channel in Flutter, and you have to use that version 3.5, 3.4 and above, 3.5. I think you better check the link that I gave earlier. And be careful that it is still under development. So if there are issues, just file an issues on GitHub. There's one package that is already available for use. So if you switch to the master channel and ensure that your DAP version is 3.5.015 or later, then you can try to use this JSON codable. The information is in this QR code. You can scan the QR code and try to play around with it. So this JSON codable is so much better than JSON serialized or other JSON generation method. Because it's used the macro, so whatever you change on your original class, the JSON generated will be updated immediately. That is very fast, and that is very good to use, but there are a few steps for you to follow if you want to enable it in your project. Once again, this is still in development. There may still be issues with it. So if you want to use it in your production, good luck. Next, the next update is WebAssembly. I'm not sure how many of you are excited about Flutter for web, but I am. So right after Google I/O, I went home. I tried to upgrade my Flutter into Flutter 3.22. I tried to enable WASM, and I see no difference. The reason is because WASM, even though WASM is unstable, and you can try it immediately in your Flutter web project, but there is a condition that all your dependencies need to support WASM before you can enable it. So if some of your dependency does not support WASM, it will fall back. It will fall back to I think, no, it's not OpenGL. I forgot what it is, but it will not be enabled on your project. So in order to use this WASM in your production project, you will need to make sure that all your dependencies are supporting WASM. For more information on WASM, you can try to scan those QR codes. There's just one note on that. Because I tried and I do not see the difference, and because I hit the limitation, I think I have more than 20 dependencies in my project, so it will be quite a long time for me to actually try this in my app. Anyone still take pictures of the QR code? No? No? Okay. Okay, there are some limitation on WebAssembly actually. So the first limitation is that it runs on only Chromium browsers. So the first Chromium browser is of course Google Chrome. Other than that, it also needs the version of the Chrome. The Chrome version needs to be 1.19 or later. And if you are using the old JS interop, you may need to migrate it to the new JS interop in order to allow write access to the JS API. Lastly, it's only on Flutter build support. So if you use Flutter run, you may not see it. This is also one of the mistakes I made. So I use Flutter run with WASM and nothing, really nothing. Then when I read the limitation, I have to change to Flutter build. And I build it with the local web deployment, and I still see no difference. Maybe because I don't have much animation, or maybe because I have dependencies that does not work with WASM. But if you go to this link, you go to this website, you will see that this Wanderers demo will show you how good WebAssembly is. So if you remember, last year, Wanderers was used to demo Impeller on iOS. And this is the app. This is the app with crazy amount of animation. That is why this year is used again to demonstrate the WebAssembly in Flutter. If you have time, go visit that website and look through all the animation, see how smooth it is. Picture? Okay. The last update is Impeller on Android. So as you all know, last year Impeller is already released for iOS, but this year Impeller is available on Android device as well, but it only for device with Vulkan support. I'm not sure if that is setting because maybe all of the Android device already support Vulkan. Right now, if your device is supporting Vulkan, it will run on Impeller. If not, it will fall back to OpenGL. And to run that, you will need to use the run command with the flag enable Impeller and to run it on Android device. Or you can permanently edit it in the Android manifest. So to edit it, you add the metadata with the name like here, and then set the value to true. This tip, I find it when I was trying to run Impeller on Android. So in order to check whether your app, your phone, your device support Vulkan or not, you can just download the Vulkan app and try to run it on your device. Then the app will give the information for you to make your own decision whether your device has Vulkan support or not. Or if you do not trust the app, you can check out the full document as well. Step by step, how there are multiple ways for you to check whether your device has Vulkan support or not. So check through all the documents and try to find out whether your phone has Vulkan support or not, and try to enable the Impeller on Android. And if your app has so much animation as much as the Wanderers, then maybe you will see the difference. My app does not, so I still do not see the difference. And that is all the update for today. If you have any question, you can ask question right now. If you do not have any question, or you are shy to ask question, you can look for me in this QR code. But I hope you have any question right now. Anyone? No question? Really? Your last call. Okay, bye-bye.